Hi there, my name is Jess Rudder, and I am a PhD job market candidate in the Agricultural and Resource Economics program at UC Davis. Today I'm presenting the experimental design for my job market paper, which is called Search Costs and Relational Contracts, the Impact of a Digital Phone Book on Small Firms in Tanzania. And since this is advances in field experiments, I'm going to explicitly focus on the experimental design, and I won't have time to present any results. So if this interests you, feel welcome to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to share the results with you. Okay, so a digital phone book is just like a regular phone book. If you can imagine if you shoved yellow pages into a phone, and it's accessible in any type of phone, including the feature phones like the ones that are pictured here. So users dial a code and then they reach a menu system where they can access market information about firms that are located near to them. So this includes firm sectors, firm location, and firm contact information. So this project focuses on urban to rural supply chains with a particular focus on rural firms. So the idea is that we list rural firms in the digital phone book and then constrain who can see what in order to relax search costs in either their input market or their output market. So the strategy to do so is that we gather phone numbers from all three links of the supply chain, and then we can experimentally manipulate who can see who within the digital phone book in order to relax the search cost constraint. So these actors are all located in Singida and Dodoma region of Tanzania. And these large blue dots represent the three urban centers where we gathered phone numbers from urban firms. And the rural firms that are subject to the experimental condition are located in the areas where the green dots are. And then the rural consumers are located where yellow dots are. And so the rural firms were first selected by considering all of the eligible villages that are located between the three urban centers that had a population above 3,000. And after we selected 25 villages by stratifying on region, population, and distance to the nearest city, we went to the villages and invited firms to list their phone number in the digital phone book. And at that same time, we conducted a baseline survey from which we used the information to allocate the rural firms into treatment 1, treatment 2, and control. So that randomization was done at the individual level, so there's no cluster randomization here, after stratifying on village, sector, gender, and listing preference. And so the upstream listing is for firms that can access urban firms, and the downstream listing is for consumers to access the rural firms, right? So we're just breaking apart the supply chain and relaxing the search costs in either the upstream market or the downstream market. And so the last way to summarize this information is by thinking about it through this figure. So let's suppose the gray area represents all of the firms that are listed in the phone directory. So again, the phone directory only lists firms, it does not list consumers. So that creates a little bit of an asymmetry in terms of the intensity of treatment. So treatment arm 1 is listed in the phone book, and they can see urban firms. Likewise, since the urban firms are listed in the phone book as well, we can constrain them to also see treatment arm 1. But it's a little bit different for treatment arm 2. So rural consumers, we gather their phone numbers and then we assign them to see treatment arm 2. But since consumers themselves are not listed in the directory, we can't necessarily also constrain treatment arm 2 to see rural customers, right? So the control arm, of course, doesn't have any listing and is withheld. So at the end of the experiment, we can see sort of first whether being listed in the directory increases access to new firms and lower search costs to locate other firms, and whether that makes a difference for rural firm productivity. And at the same time, we can compare treatment arm 1 and treatment arm 2 to understand a little bit more about whether firms are constrained in their input market or more constrained in their output market in terms of kind of reaching new networks and increasing their contacts.